What has happened to truth in our day? Where did we lose out? Where did we go wrong? What has become the malady that best describes why we are on the wrong track? This arena of lies and falsehood where we are risking the whole next generation with a false sense of entitlements. Skepticism is the hallmark of university education today. You can go to campus after campus and they deny the very possibility of knowing. Fascinating, isn't it? You come out of a university education at the end of it basically saying you cannot believe anything. You cannot know anything. Intent is prior to content. Question is, does this generation really want truth? Revelation displaced by reason, truth subverted by agnosticism, rationalism fails, existentialism fails, and lastly, the propositional is replaced by the visual. This is possibly the darkest reality of our time. So the young scholar sitting before the professorial lectern is absolutely convinced that truth is merely relative. And what has happened is that he has lost sight of the fact of what Jesus said about the eye. He said, let your eye be single. The eye is the lamp of the body. William Blake put it in these words, this life's dim windows of the soul distorts the heavens from pole to pole and goads you to believe a lie when you see with and not through the eye. We are meant to see through the eye with the conscience. We are being taught to see with the eye, devoid of a conscience. And in reality, nothing is so beautiful as the good. Nothing so monotonous and boring as evil. But in our imagination, it's the other way around. Fictional good is boring and flat. Fictional evil is varied, intriguing, attractive, and full of charm. The poles have been reversed. Good has become boring. Evil has become intriguing.
Back now to our top story, a terrible mystery gripping the world right now. Birds, fish, and all kinds of creatures just dropping dead in huge numbers for what seems like no reason. Just in the last 2 weeks, the theories and speculation running rampant.
Hundreds of dead seals in Labrador. These seals washed up around Hopedale. There are similar reports from other communities. No one knows why these animals died.
Rutgers County Humane Society is investigating the death of 200 cows.
The cattle were discovered on a farm field on 4th Street in Amherst. Today, the bodies were taken out in semi-loads to be disposed of. The Portage County Sheriff's Department says the animals died.
They've occurred suddenly with devastating results. A series of huge fish kills, the latest involving 2 million fish in Maryland.
On Kent Island, Maryland, along the Chesapeake Bay. Wildlife officials say roughly 2 million of one particular species died very suddenly. But this came at about the same time that thousands of birds died suddenly in Arkansas and Louisiana, and millions of fish were killed in separate incidents from Arkansas to South America to the South Pacific.
This is all a sign of the apocalypse. Authorities in northern Italy say more than 1,000 turtle doves have dropped dead over the past 5 days. It's the latest in a series of unexplained sudden death incidents affecting creatures in the sky and underwater. The events have sparked a media frenzy, with doomsday speculators saying it hails the end of the world. 8,000 dead turtle doves in Italy, hundreds of birds dead in Rockwell, Texas, 500 red-winged blackbirds in Louisiana, 100 birds in Sweden, 3,000 dead red-winged blackbirds in Arkansas, several hundred dead in Kentucky. On the fish, several hundred snapperfish in New Zealand, thousands of dead fish in Florida, 40,000 devil crabs in the UK, 80,000 drumfish in Arkansas, 2 million spotted croakers in Maryland in the last 2 weeks.
Well, thousands of fish are dead at the mouth of a shipping channel, as well as a dead whale that was reported in Venice today. The species include crabs, stingrays, eel, drum, speckled trouts, and redfish.
In the UK, 40,000 velvet crabs littered the coast. Brazil, 100 tons of lifeless fish floated. And in Sweden, jackdaws fell in the dead of the night. Across the world, the bizarre phenomena of creatures raining down or washing up on shore has mystified scientists.
The video you're about to see is not a gravel road. Those are the dead fish.
This footage that was taken recently was in Rio de Janeiro, I believe, or Santa Cruz, South America. I'm not exactly sure what's happening, but all over the world things are changing. We're talking about environmentally, the weather-related changes may have an effect. Look at all these dead animals, these dead fish. This is in Bolivia, South America. Alligators dead everywhere. Whatever was in the water is coming up dead. This is happening all over the place. It's happening in the United States. It's happening in South America. What is going on? I've got footage of other things happening in the Middle East on some of the beaches where there's just millions and millions of seashells that are just washing up. The dead animals that live within the shells are somehow just washing up on shore. All you see is an ocean of just dead.
200 dead cows in Wisconsin and 7,000 dead buffalo in Vietnam. What is happening?
I think the media is, by and large, not blowing it out of proportion. They're actually underestimating how serious it is.
Egyptian museum officials, while overseeing restoration of artifacts damaged in a late January looting incident, now say several objects are missing from the museum. Among items missing, a gilded wood statue of King Tut being carried by a goddess, a gilded wood statue of King Tut harpooning. This item was broken in the January incident and only the top portion is missing. And another missing item is a limestone statue of Akhenaten holding an offering table. In all, 18 items were reported missing. Minister of Antiquities Zahi Hawass had earlier said nothing was stolen from the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, but in a February 12th statement confirms the items were missing. He also stated, quote, "I have said if the Egyptian Museum is safe, then Egypt is safe. However, I am now
remarkable turn of events. 5 days after tens of thousands of Egyptians gathered in Cairo's Tahrir Square demanding that their former president face a criminal court, an official with the Justice Ministry here confirms to CNN that Hosni Mubarak has been detained for 15 days in connection with the deaths of hundreds of protesters during the revolution of January and February, which led to his overthrow.